a price on a part for this Lamborghini. And you've got to accept this.
Oh my god, you have no idea.
So this was a video I didn't really want to have to make, but it's happened now, so we're making it. So for those that are new here, the car that's on the ramp right now once was a perfect example of a low mileage 2012 Lamborghini Gallardo LP 560-4. Keyword, once was. Buy a car like this to keep it clean, to keep the mileage low, to keep it in a garage, to keep the resale value high. I buy a car like this to enjoy it. And that's why there is two big turbos strapped to the back of a naturally aspirated 5.2 litre V10. Standard, this Gallardo is around 550 bhp. With the two turbos attached, it's around 820 bhp. Well, at least it was. There was really no expense spared doing this build. I wanted it to be the best it could. It's got a standalone Cyvex ECU, which is what this plug's for here. The turbo kit was hand-built by Push Performance and then tuned by RE Performance. But we all know when you start modifying cars and doing stuff that shouldn't really be done, you're bound to get a few issues here and there. But this fault has got nothing to do with the turbo kit or the guys that built them. I've done thousands of miles in this car and had no issues. This fault was to do with me.
I'm a bad bitch every day of the week. If I hop up on the mic, they gon' play it on repeat.
The last time I drove this car was at Santapod, a quarter-mile drag strip. I decided to race this Gallardo against Mark McCann's Brabus GLE. Roll the clip. Now, we took the win. But the Gallardo took a loss. After getting the car home, I noticed that there was an oil leak on the driveway. I got the car in the ramp and I noticed that oil was coming from the front of the car all the way down the back, and it was all just soaked. And after a bit of investigating and taking off all the under trays, I found that the oil was coming from the front. More specifically, the front diff here. Now, I couldn't really see anywhere obvious on where the oil was coming out of the front diff or why it was coming out of the front diff, but I know that the front diff only takes 1.5 litres of oil. With that in mind, I decided to undo the drain plug just to see if there was any oil left in there. And well, this is what I found. Wow, look at that. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Wow.
Magnetic sun plug, and there's a lot of metal. There should have been metal on that. Oh.
There's some chunks. Go around the lip. Ain't no magnetic plug saving that.
So this was the drain plug. It's magnetic and it's full of metal filings, which means there's something definitely broken in that front diff. And this magnet, well, this has been all in the diff oil, and as you can see, it looks like glitter. And the more you put the magnet in here, the more metal it picks out of it. Something isn't quite right. Let's get this diff off. So to remove the diff, the first thing we need to do is disconnect the drive shafts on each side of it. Now, it actually turns out the four-wheel drive system on these Lamborghinis are not the best of inventions. Now, if we go back to the race between me and Mark, you can see Mark's Brabus gets a much better start. This is because the rear wheels on the Lamborghini were just completely spinning, whilst the front wheels were driving at normal pace. Now, because the rear wheels are spinning at a much faster pace than the front wheels, it can cause the front diff to overheat. And that is because the prop shaft is spinning round and round really quick, whereas the front wheels and the drive shafts, well, they're only moving at like half the pace. And well, in this case, it seems to have caused some damage to the front differential. With both the front drive shafts out of the diff, the next thing to remove is the prop shaft from, you guessed it, the front diff. Most of these bolts are really easy to access, but there is quite a few of them which connects the prop shaft to it. With the prop shaft disconnected, it's time to lower the front diff. I had no idea how heavy this thing was going to be, so I had Hannah in to come and help me. She supported it whilst I undid all the bolts mounting the diff to the chassis. And at some point, she even held it up with her head. But with all the bolts undone, we lowered it down to the ground. So here is the part in question, the front differential from the Lamborghini Gallardo, which probably also could be found on, well, some Audis if you have a look here, and, well, more specifically, the Audi R8. And something is telling me something inside this diff is broken, and this diff as a complete unit from Lamborghini is probably not going to be cheap. But today is a Saturday and they're not open, so we're going to give them a call on Monday and we'll see what sort of price we think for this.
So, Asian is available.
Yep.
Retail price £2,995 plus VAT.
So was it expensive or not? In fact, what I think the future me should do now is call up Audi with the same part number and see if the prices differ. Did you get it? Differ?
They're on back order.
Okay.
And £4,995.59p plus VAT. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. So it's actually more expensive from Audi than it was with Lamborghini. So were the prices different or not? But very worst case, there is a front diff which is from Australia on eBay for the equivalent of around £1,500. Now, even though we got the diff out, it still doesn't explain where all the oil came from. Well, actually, it came from this part here. This little part is a breather pipe. And I can only guess that because the oil was getting so hot inside the diff, because the prop shaft was spinning it so fast, the oil was sort of just boiling out of the breather hose. So me being me, I was intrigued to see what sort of damage it's actually caused. So I started stripping it apart to see if I could see any damage inside. So I can't really see what the damage is inside without knocking off this bearing, which looks completely fine, just so I can get to these bolts here. But all in all, it doesn't actually seem too bad. I can't see any of the metal shards anymore, but that's not to say that it's not completely broken. Now, in all honesty, I'm kind of shocked something like that diff is gave away so early when I wasn't giving it, well, 100% power. And let me show you what else I'm shocked by. The size of these front drive shafts, they are so thin. Actually, the track rod end even looks thicker than the drive shafts, and they're supposed to hold 550 bhp worth of power. And yes, again, they have came off a Volkswagen, Audi, Skoda and Seat car, probably a Volkswagen Polo. Now, with all these things in mind, it started to give me other ideas about fixing the Lamborghini. Now, in my opinion, all the best cars are rear-wheel drive. The Aston Martin, the Maserati, the GT86, the C63, the BMW M3, and even F1 cars are rear-wheel drive, so that's saying something. And the four-wheel drive system on a Lamborghini Gallardo is not as clever as something like a Quattro. I'm pretty sure the Gallardo sends 70% of the power to the rear wheel, whilst the rest gets sent to the front. But by removing the front diff, the drive shafts, the prop shaft as well, we're not only going to be losing weight, we're also going to be sending 100% of the power to the rear wheels. But could the rear wheels, the rear diff, and of course the tyres take this much power directly to them? I went to the drawing board. So with a rear-wheel drive conversion on a Lamborghini, we have some pros and some cons, obviously. The pros, we have less clutch wear because there's less drag on the transmission. It also saves weight. Another pro as well is that we get less power loss from the transmission, so more wheel horsepower, no more broken diff, and potentially no more understeer as well. Now the cons, we have more rear tyre wear, and I asked Ricky at RE Performance about this, and he said it's going to be loose as a motherfucker. But with all this in mind, I decided to go for it. So first thing to go is the prop shaft, which runs from the back of the car all the way to the front of the car. There's a few bolts connecting it to the engine and then a few more connecting it to the chassis. Once that was lowered down, it's time to take the drive shafts out of both sides on the front wheels. All of this is actually going to help for weight reduction, and all of this is rotating weight as well.
Nothing's off limits. You can have anything you want.
And there we go, both drive shafts out, and I've seen Kevin pick up bigger sticks than that. But now we're left with a hole where the wheel bearing is, and we can't be going round like that. So to have something for the wheel bearing to sit on and press against, we've got to knock the actual stub axle off the drive shafts. This is a pretty messy job, and I'm trying to do this without damaging anything, because we may have to put this back at some point if rear-wheel drive is too sketchy. And there we go, there is one end of a drive shaft which is cleaned up, ready to go back into the wheel hub. We just got to do it for the other side as well.
Tell everyone you can have anything you want.
time to bolt them to the car. And that's what it looks like from the inside. Looks quite smart actually. And underneath the car, well, it looks completely empty, which it is. But now all of the power is going to be being sent to those rear wheels.
Knocking, boots broom on Mogley. When I pop out like likeness.
So here we go, one converted rear-wheel drive Lamborghini Gallardo with 2 turbos attached to it. This is going to be one hell of a first drive. But first, how much weight did we actually save by doing this? So the 2 drive shafts weigh 5.75 kilos. The prop shaft, which is surprisingly lighter than I expected, 7.05 kilos. And the front diff with the diff mounts weighs 20.70 kilos. Overall, a total weight saving of 33.5 kilograms, which is just under half of what I weigh. Okay, so here we go. A lot of power in a rear-wheel drive Lamborghini. Straight away though, I can notice that the steering feels a lot lighter, which I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And actually pulling off does feel like less draggy, if that makes sense. Let's see how loose this thing is. This is everything a Lamborghini shouldn't be. Turbo and rear-wheel drive. It is loose. Oh my god! So now that it's sort of 2-wheel drive, we're not actually making any more power, but we are probably going to get more wheel horsepower because there's less transmission loss. And you can definitely tell. Now here's the thing, it's almost impossible to now have a rear-wheel drive Lamborghini and not use it to its full potential. That was really hard. We actually managed to do it. Film a full video, fix the car, and not spend one single penny until now. Now, not long ago, a person called Molly bought a hoodie off the website and left this message. Hannah showed me the message and she explained that Molly was buying the hoodie for her boyfriend for a birthday present, but he had recently passed away, so it was a sort of promise to him as they both watched the channel together. She also said that she was a student nurse and she doesn't have too much money, but she wanted to buy the hoodie still to keep the promise. So inside this bag here is full of hoodies, t-shirts, loads of MA merchandise, key rings and air fresheners that we're actually going to go and drive to Molly's house. We have her address obviously from the order, and we're going to go and surprise her with this. And not only that, inside this envelope right here is £1,500 cash that I would have used to buy a front differential for the Lamborghini. Let's head to Molly's and let's see, and let's get her reaction on all of this, but this should be a good one. Now this is just going to be really nice to help out someone who's going to be spending their whole life helping other people, as Molly is a student paramedic. So I think we are here. Let's go.
Are you Molly?
We thought we'd come and surprise you.
heard it immediately. I was like, no one drives out in Chippenham. Can I give you a hug? Yeah. Yeah, it's been a bit difficult, obviously, and obviously being a student paramedic, it's been quite difficult. I had a bit of a rough job a month ago. Someone else's boyfriend died, and I was like, Max in the living room, like, oh Christ. So
bloody hell. Well, we've brought you a bag full of smash and everything, and then we also have like a little bit extra. We have £1,500.
No, I don't.
No, we've got to. we have this. The whole story. The Lamborghini broke. Managed to fix it without spending one single penny. So I thought I'd rather go to someone. No, we've got to. We came all this way, and we've got to accept this. But I hope this really helps you, and I just like supporting people that support me. So.
Oh my god, you have no idea. Behind on my rent, like everything.
Oh no, you're kind as well. No, I hope it really helps you. I know it's better than me spending it on a part that I didn't actually need, so no, I'm glad it's going to help you out.
I literally can't believe this. Oh god. Oh, thank you so much.
Now we stayed and we spent a bit more time talking to Molly, and she says she's going to put the money towards learning to drive an ambulance, which is really great, and none of this would have been possible without help from all you guys watching the channel, hitting the thumbs up button and commenting on every video. So thank you so much for making this happen. I wish I could do this for every single one of you. Well, that was good and that felt good. Thanks for watching this video. Hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button. I better get home to the Range Rover now and crack on with it. See you in the next video. Peace out. So were the prices different or not?
Like a drug